What's going on, everyone? You're back with your boy Jono for another quick math lesson. Today we're going to look at the unitary method for solving ratio problems. And what we're going to use here is something called the box method to help scaffold our answers. I guarantee this is going to be helpful for you. A lot of the examples that I'm using in this lesson come from the Year 12 HSC. So if you're on top of this topic now, you're going to find Year 12 just a breeze. So what we're looking at today is when two quantities are in direct proportion or they're in lockstep with each other, it makes it really easy to predict the future. Things that are usually in lockstep are things like, how much does petrol cost? How much money do you earn when you go to work? You get paid $20 an hour. If you work 3 hours, you make $60. So this idea of lockstep or changing consistently means that we can use it to predict the future really easily. Like I just said, earning money is a really easy way to think about this. If you get paid $20 per hour, how much money do you make for 3 hours of work? We know that it's probably $60, but the maths behind it is 20, how much I'm getting, multiplied by 3, how many hours or parts I'm working. That's $60, done. If I had to work 10 hours, all I would do is 20 multiplied by 10, I'm making $200, pretty good day. If I'm working half an hour, so less money, instead of predicting the future, I'm working less, all I've got to do is multiply 20 by a half. Half an hour is half. That's just $10, which makes sense. So this idea of in lockstep is really fundamental. $20 multiplied by how many times I did it. Nice and easy way to make money. The reason these problems were so easy to work out is because we knew how much we were getting paid per 1 hour. And that is our single unit. That's how much we're getting paid at a base rate. So this idea of finding one part first is incredibly important for working out ratio and rate problems. So for this one, if I told you that you were making $35 every 1.7 hours, that becomes way too confusing. But knowing that we get $20 for 1 hour makes this much easier to work with. This is the fundamental idea of the unitary method. Find one part and then multiply to what you need to find. But this idea, finding one, is incredibly important. So we could have a question like this. In 5 hours, I make $86. How much am I going to make in 3 hours? And we're going to use this box to help scaffold our answer. I know it looks a little bit intimidating. 6 squares, there's a lot happening, but I guarantee it's going to be much easier than just trying to work it out by yourself. So the two columns actually are going to mean something. I've got hours on one side and money on the other. And I'm going to put in the information I know straight away. So I know that 5 hours is exactly equal to $86. I've been told that in the question. 5 equals 86. I haven't written an equal sign in there, but I just want you to imagine it. That line is saying this side equals this side. And we want to work out how much I'm getting paid for 3 hours. We're always going to skip the middle row. That's for our unit, our 1. So I'm going to put 3 again in the hours column because I'm trying to work out for 3 hours. And I'm going to put a 3 down there at the bottom. From here, you've got to identify which column do I have more information in. I've got 5 and 3 here in this blue box. So this is the side I'm going to be working with to start off. In that middle bit, I need to get to 1 by either division or multiplication. So if I'm going to turn 5 into 1, I have to divide by 5. That makes a lot of sense. And now I'm at 1, but I want to work out how much I make for 3 hours. So I've got to times by 3. If you can do these 2 arrows, you're done for the whole lesson. That's the only important skill. Once we've got the scaffold there, you can just use your calculator every single time to get the right answer. Because they're directly proportional, if I change one side, I have to change the other. So all I've got to do is take that $86 and follow the same arrows. 86 divided by 5 is my first step, and I get $17.20. That's my pay for 1 hour. Then if I want to work out how much I get paid for 3, I just have to multiply it by 3, again following that arrow. This means my final answer, my 3 hours of pay, is $51.60, and I didn't have to do anything. Once you've got the arrows locked in, you can just use your calculator. 86 divided by 5 times 3, done. So the maths for this lesson is not too difficult if you take the time to get these scaffolds correct. I guarantee it's worth it. So our steps here are firstly fill in the boxes that we do know with all the information you can. Again, leaving that middle row open because that's where our ones are going to go in. Then our first arrows are going to be divide by that top number. That's going to get us to 1. Like for that last one, 5 divided by 5 is going to get us to 1. Then I have to multiply by the bottom number. 1 times 3 gave us the 3. So all we're doing is seeing what we've written in there, divide by the top one, times by the next one, done. All you've got to do in your calculator is follow the same arrows on the other side, and I would just use your calculator for the whole process. So this question here was actually lifted from a year 12 exam paper. So if you've got this, you can cruise in year 12. So I know that for every 6.6 litres of fuel, I get to go 100 kilometres. And I know that for a fact. So I'm going to have my two columns, kilometres and litres. So I've got 100 kilometres. I was told that is equal to 6.6 litres. And I know that for sure. Now I've got to fill in the other bit of information. I want to know how far could I go on 20 litres. Because I'm still talking about litres, I'm going to put that 20 at the very bottom on the other side. So because I've got two bits of information on this side, this is where I'm going to start off. I've got to get to 1. So I'm dividing by 6.6. 6.6 divided by 6.6 is 1. Then I've got to turn that into a 20. So I'm going to multiply by 20. So again, once you've got the numbers in there, the maths is not too difficult. Because I've done this to one side of my proportion, I've got to do it to the other side as well. 100 divided by 6.6 is my first step. I would just leave the answer in your calculator and then do answer times 20, but we can write it out if you want. 100 divided by 6.6 is 15.15, and then times by 20 is 303.03. So one thing that we can do is kind of check that these numbers make sense. 6 times 3 is 18, so it's about 3 times more. 100 times 3 is about 300, so that makes sense. Both of these have gone up by just over times 3. So we know that our answer is definitely in the right ballpark, and we probably got it right. And we can go the other way as well. So my 100 kilometers from 6.6 litres, that's my first bit of information for this one as well. Now I'm trying to find out how much petrol do I need to go 172 kilometers. So I'm going to put that in the bottom box for the kilometers column. So that means I've got 100 and 172. This is my first column that I'm going to look at. From here, 100 down to 1 is divide by 100. 1 to 172 is times 172. Because I've done that on one side, I've got to do it on the other side. Because I'm dividing 6.6 by 100, I'm going to have a really, really small number. So again, I would highly recommend just using the answer button in your calculator just to make sure that you're not missing a decimal point or something like that. So 6.6 divided by 100 gives me 0.066. But again, just write answer. And then I have to times it by 172. This gives me the answer of 11.35 litres. That's how many litres I would need to get 172 kilometers. And again, this makes sense. 100 to 172 is more, but not quite double. 6.6 to 11 is again more, but not quite double. So that means these two numbers make sense. They are directly proportional. As one changes, the other has to change in the exact same way. So please, please, please make sure that you use the scaffold. Put in all the information you know at the very start of the question. See what you've got two bits of information about. Find one part and then just follow the arrows. This topic can get really difficult and a little bit overwhelming, especially in a test scenario. But if you take the time to write down the information you know, I guarantee that you will find them pretty easy. Thanks so much for watching this lesson, and I'll see you later.